Is it fun? Not too much fun.
We always have fun.
We always have fun.
Yeah.
Monzy, I have to give you a hug.
Oh, good to see you.
So good to see you, man. And I love this booth. We'll do a short. I took a shot coming down the escalator. So
that's
we'll
awesome.
mix that in. I mean, it's a great spot right here. Great to see you guys doing so well. And
Thank you.
You have some announcements.
Yes.
You've had, so we're
Yes.
going to talk about that. I think first we need to give Marco a little brief. We're not holding a glass of Brunello.
There's no Brunello. There's no pizza.
No pizza.
There's no biscotti.
No
He
biscotti.
could have brought a piece of basil.
Could have
It just
some-
as a gesture. A little bit of mutz, a little bit of basil. It would have been nice. I'm not even asking for the balsamico. Just, you know,
All right.
I don't
well,
know.
tomorrow you and I will hang out and we'll have a glass.
we'll
of wine.
figure it out.
But so good to see you. For folks that don't know, co-founder or founder of Crogl, CEO. What's been going on, my friend?
It's been a great week for us to be here. I mean, we're just barely getting started. To be back with the community at Black Hat, we made an announcement last week for the public GA of our free download so that everybody can try out. There's so many companies doing AI SOC work. We were like, you know, let the community speak. We wanted to do that. We're getting such good feedback on our stance that we took over 3 years ago to say customers should have the choice. They should control their own data. A security product should be secure. So this whole movement towards sovereign AI and the customers recognizing that and that they want to do that, we've built a sovereign product from the get-go so the customers can control everything about how AI operates in their environment. We're getting really good feedback and traction from those customers as well. We had a big announcement this morning with a major global partner with the US DoD. Now it's public news. Now everybody can find out what Crogl is doing there. So things are really going our way, and we're really grateful for all the positive feedback from the community and from the customers who support us.
It says a lot when you can do something in the DoD.
Yes, yes.
A lot of effort goes into making that happen. So very cool on that, and yeah, encourage folks to look that up. So sovereignty, I feel it's a word that's overused a lot, and typically in the context of we don't want to run US stuff in Europe, or we want to have our own in-country things happening, but there's the capabilities that support that you took as a bigger stance early on, so the ability to have a choice. So tell me about what different types of organizations might want to have a choice for. What are the reasons?
Yeah, so I think it first starts with wanting to control and wanting to own your own destiny from the customer's point of view. Customers want to use AI. Historically, if an large electric utility company, for example, and Crogl has a large electric utility company customer, wanted to deploy a cutting edge AI technology in an operational environment, in an OT environment, they couldn't do it. They had no choice. The only way to do it was to connect up to the internet. And we always wanted to serve that critical infrastructure community. So we built the product from Crogl from the beginning to be operated in a way that it can be closed off from the internet, but has high quality capability. So we wanted to serve, it comes out of a sense of service and a commitment to service for those kinds of organizations, whether they're a large bank, whether they're an electric utility company, whether they are the Department of Defense. All of these organizations have those requirements. We wanted to serve those requirements. We wanted to serve that community. So it's hard to build a product that way, but the bigger question is, well, why do they want to do that? Well, they want to do that is because they have their own regulatory requirements, but they also don't know what's coming in the future. So they are better prepared for what's coming in the future when they can validate and they can say that, look, my data is my data. And the second part of that too is if let's say you're a large financial services institution like one of Crogl's big 10 bank customers, you have knowledge and data about your customers and about your business that nobody else has. If you're working with somebody outside and they're going to take that data and they're going to use that data to create derivative things off of your intellectual property, well, that's not cool. And so we wanted to give that customer that choice again to say, look, you can use Crogl, it is yours, it's your product, the data is yours, the use cases are yours, what you do with it is yours, and customers appreciate that. And now that the whole sovereign thing, a lot of people started talking about sovereign, then it's like, well, we've been here all along, and we appreciated that from the beginning.
Yeah. So we saw it from the beginning. I think one thing that I'm hearing a lot from folks, CISOs and others that I talk to, is the ability to actually deploy something that is flexible, but also stable. I mean, we can't be messing around with our environment, but we need to be able to take this new model or this new language or whatever it is and new data sets and what have you, and deploy it quickly, but have a nice stable base. So talk to me about how Crogl kind of helps.
Yeah, I think one of the misconceptions has been historically is sovereign means static.
Right.
Sovereign doesn't mean static. If the architecture is right, sovereign can be very flexible and sovereign can adopt. And so we built Crogl in that way. We were one of the very early players in the space that said customers should be able to bring whatever model they want to bring to the table. Because we knew that there's going to be a better model tomorrow. Customers are going to build their own models and they're going to buy new models and they're going to use what they see is best for their business. So it goes back to the same aspect. And so yeah, we built the architecture in a way that it doesn't matter what the use case is, whether customers want to do threat hunting, whether they want to do investigations, whether they want to meet compliance requirements. We had a Fortune 500 customer who did anti-fraud detection and fraud detection using Crogl, even though it's not a fraud product, because the architecture is right. It has a knowledge graph, it gives you freedom and choice in models, it's secure, as a system, it is able to analyze whatever data you want without having to normalize your data across multiple data lakes simultaneously. I mean, for us, federated querying and federated searching was a base principle from the get-go. We have a patent on that. And so, we appreciate the strong architecture pieces that sophisticated organizations need, and we rejected this notion that, just because it's going to be on-prem or just because it's going to be sovereign doesn't mean it's not going to be flexible. Right. So it has to be flexible, it has to be sovereign, it has to give customers as many choices as they want to have to run their business.
Yeah, and we talked a bit about the fact that data doesn't need to be normalized, and it can be in different places, in different shapes and sizes. So let's very quickly remind folks about how you did that and the value of that in a SOC.
When you deploy Crogl in an environment and you give it access to your data stores, Crogl builds a semantic layer without transforming the data, without normalizing or moving the data, to connect the dots. It's called source IP in one data lake, it's called SOURCE IP in another data lake, and it's called Bazel in another data lake. The labels don't matter, it's the semantics of how that happens, and then Crogl builds that graph.
And the data stays there.
And the data stays where the data is. You can bring new data on, you don't have to go through migration processes, and you can literally keep adding data during the course of an investigation without having to go through the months-long cycles that everybody's used to. And everybody literally, they just accepted it. Yeah. And we believe that should not be the case. As practitioners ourselves, we just want to use whatever we want to use in the moment that we need it.
Exactly. Now I'm going to bring us to the download, because you mentioned earlier, nobody else is doing the free download for an AI SOC. Why? Because there's a lot of setup. So your stuff connects to the things that already exist, and you give them the ability to connect and configure. So tell us about the free download and the time to value there.
Yeah,
right?
Well, the big thing for us was there's a lot of people that talk about using AI in security operations, and it's very difficult to get into a meaty conversation to talk about ontologies and architectures and multiple models, and I can say a lot of things about it, what a Crogl customer does, where they automatically connect to things in the middle of an investigation without having to normalize data, and that's what customers are doing. Well, it doesn't have to be a secret. We want everybody to benefit from that. Right. And so we created the free download approach to just say, just go download it. If you have a need and you have a problem, just go download it and see it for yourself. We had a LinkedIn post the other day where somebody said they downloaded Crogl and they went from not being able to do an investigation to getting a complete report out on a net new Crogl install, from download to report submission in under 10 minutes. Wow. It's not my words, it's just a person that I don't even know out there who just did it. Right. And that's, to us, that's amazing, and that's a community that we want to participate in, and that's what we want to build for.
I want to stick on this point one more for another moment. So any other so that was a random, somebody just saying this is really cool. But you've had, I'm sure, direct engagements with downloading. What do you hear?
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
Well, the biggest thing that we're seeing are the things around a user's ability to connect to any arbitrary data source or any arbitrary enrichment source or any arbitrary case management ticketing system just on the fly. Because we flipped that model of extension building from, oh, you have to go through this long treadmill of trying to build an extension to, well, you should be able to connect to whatever you want to connect, and it should get immediately integrated into your overall workflow. So that's the biggest thing that we're seeing. Is we did a talk yesterday on a similar topic. Somebody came up to me and said, you know, this blast radius thing that you just showed as in the talk, can I do that in my environment? And before we left that conversation, we can demonstrate to that person is like, here it is, right? And so I think that's the kind of reaction that really enriches us, and I think that's a kind of, I want to say, just validation really from the community that people just want to, they just want to see it. Like, let's not talk about it. Let's do it.
Yep. So let's go to the real value of what you're doing. Because I think it's imperative, and I've been in this space for a long time. I've seen where it's really hard to get things deployed, really hard to get them working. You're doing a phenomenal job with all of that. It really only matters if it does what it's supposed to, right? Which is protect the business, give the team the ability to show an audit that says here's how we handled something and why. So let's look at the value of Crogl and what it actually does. Give me some stories of where different models have been plugged in and different use cases come out of it.
So I'll start with, two major, at the end of the day, you ask, what does Crogl do? But Crogl customers are doing two things. They're investigating alerts, either autonomously or interactively, and they're doing threat hunting, also either autonomously or interactively. And then when they do that work, the biggest pain point for the practitioner is, well, how do I take credit for my work? Which oftentimes comes in the form of documentation. So those are the three basic pillars of what's going on. And so from a use case point of view, from a value point of view, organizations have thousands and thousands of alerts. A given analyst on a shift can work maybe 10 alerts at a time in the totality of that shift. Right. So now we're raising the bar, so now you can work 50, 60 alerts in a shift. Because now the only thing that the analyst is seeing as a consequence of using Crogl is the thing that they really need to pay attention to, and the other stuff, they already have the documentation done. Crogl has already created a verdict for them to say, hey, this should be escalated, this should be closed, with some information and knowledge. So it's reducing that workload on the analyst, so now an analyst can do more. Then what happens from a business point of view, then you have two significant advantages. One, whatever is happening, you're reducing your risk because you're investigating the alerts, and when the auditor comes in for you, and on the regulated side, you can show that auditor. So your audit cycles go faster, you keep your regulators happy, and you do that a lot faster. Second thing that happens is because of our ability to analyze data wherever data lives, regardless of its schema, it creates cost optimization opportunities for the customer. You can leave the data in cheaper batch storage if that's what you want to do. You don't have to move it across egress pipelines somewhere and pay for that egress cost. You can keep your data wherever that data is, and you don't have to use expensive storage if you don't want to. You don't have to have complicated pipelines if you don't want to. So there's a clear cost benefit for deploying Crogl in these environments. I mean, some of our customers, one of our customers has 100 terabytes of data per day across 6 data lakes. You can't go to that customer and say, hey, just move the data over into one place. It's not going to happen. No. And so they're getting the benefit of doing the things that they need to do regardless of where the data is, and that's real value, reduces complexity, reduces cost for that customer.
Talk to me as we close here, kind of the impact on the SOC teams. There's a lot of angst with, is this going to replace me, or am I going to not have a job in the future, or how? But they also don't want to be burnt out.
Yes.
Right? So they're, in one sense, they're welcoming the ability to do better things without a lot of the heaviness of it. So talk to me about some of the impacts you're having on teams.
There is. The security community in general, there is a bunch of different facets. Not everybody is the same, so you can't just put a broad brushstroke on people, right? But the colleagues that I interacted with, they have like a couple different things in common. One, they're very, very curious. Two, they want to make a difference. So they care and they're curious. And they want to work hard for the right reasons. Yeah. So that's the third C. Care, curious, committed. Yeah. Right? And so with Crogl, now what we're finding is it's not that they're concerned about it's going to take my job away or it's not going to do something. Now they're saying, great, I didn't want to look at that 17,000th phishing email anyway. Now I can really focus on something that new and something that's more useful and valuable to my environment. I can exercise my intuition, just like the person who started doing fraud detection using Crogl.
Right.
I can look at new CSEC HEVs that I wasn't really able to analyze the blast radius for before. Now I can do that. And so these are the kinds of things where people are actually using more of the capability and finding value from that. This is why we did the hackathon, so people can come and see like how do they exercise their intuition. And yeah, for those let me show you this. This is cool.
Right.
This is the challenge coin.
Look at that.
that the competitors and the participants at the hackathon are getting. Yes, this is substantial, right? And because we want people to see it, and what we're seeing is people are not saying this is going to replace me. They're saying this is cool.
Yeah.
I want to do more. I want to make a difference.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I always love chatting with you, my friend.
Likewise, Sean. Thank you. It's
So-
great to
so-
see you.
So happy you're doing so well, and so happy you're able to help others do so well.
Yeah, please download it.
Crogl.com download. And I encourage everybody to connect with Monzy. He's a super cool guy. Team of Crogl is great. Grab the download and stay tuned for more here from ITSP Magazine at Black Hat.
Awesome. Thank you.